what's going on, guys? I feel like every single time I make an OCG metagame breakdown, I always say people prepare yourself for like a heart attack. This time, it's not gonna be like a heart attack kind of breakdown video, but don't worry, if you have like seizures or if you're pregnant, again, you might have to reconsider, because it is quite interesting. Not as insane as the other ones, but definitely still very interesting. So yeah, before you start, friendly reminder to like, subscribe, blah blah blah. I'm almost getting tired of saying this every single time. Anyways, let's get to it. So pie chart is ridiculous. Just look at the amount of variety. It's crazy. Just so many decks have just such a, I don't know, just such a wide disparity of representation, and other isn't looking like a tier 0 deck right now. Yeah, I know, when I use the joke every single time, I know it gets boring and really lame after a while, but don't worry, you're gonna hear it a lot. This is crazy because I don't think I've remembered the last time I saw a ban list that was almost just a quarter of others, and then like 75% of other decks. Well, I mean, other from other, which means like non-other, but yeah, you get the point. Anyways, the best deck is actually kind of a three-way tie between Eldlitch, Virtual World, and Zodiac. Now, if you actually remember from last breakdown, which was number 5 and 6 combined, Virtual World was nowhere to be seen. Like, literally nowhere. Nowhere at all. And Drytron was, like, up there. And Pure Zodiac was also up there. So, what happened? Huh? Seriously, what happened? Well, don't worry, because I'm going to give you the answer very, very soon. But, yeah, I mean, Eldritch, that kind of deck that I can seriously understand why it's just always doing well, because it's such a consistent control deck, and I feel like as long as Eldritch exists, you will never really have a valid reason to play a trap deck that isn't Eldritch. Honestly, because the thing is, their traps have good effects and they all float. So imagine if your Altergeist deck, when you activated something, you also had like a graveyard effect on top of that. I know Manifestation kind of works like that, but yeah, that doesn't really count because it's only like one recursion. But imagine if everything was always like Eldritch, yeah, +1, +1, +1, +1, you snowball like crazy, your actual boss monster, or just your actual real monster, is a joke to summon. It's super accessible, and it makes all of your trap cards super good. Yeah, I guess that's the reason why Eldritch is always doing well, and the reason why Virtual World is doing well is because they're extremely consistent. They haven't been hit yet. VFD is still a problem. VFD, by the way, in case you're wondering, stands for Very Fun Dragon, or NordVPN. And then Pure Zodiac is, of course, that really good deck because of Zeus. Sky Striker is where the heart attack actually starts kicking in, because we haven't seen Sky Striker do well at all for like the past breakdowns, and now all of a sudden it's actually doing really well, and there was like no ban list, by the way, so it's just, I guess you can say it's just a matter of trend. You know, sometimes when people stop dropping like a certain deck because people start main decking a hand trap to beat it, people start playing the other kind of decks. And maybe Sky Striker is exactly that. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's a reason why the deck is now really doing well and Drytron is not doing well at all. And then of course we have Dragon Maid, and I think I can almost say, like, I can almost confirm at this point that Dragon Maid is officially a real tier 1 deck. But, like, officially, it's not even just, like, oh, yeah, it's just an opinion, or, oh, whatever. It's just, like, well-adapted to beat the top decks. Because Dragon Maid, when you think about it, is just, like, a bunch of 2-card combos that are very flexible, by the way. It's not like, oh, you need specifically those 2 cards. Like, pretty much everything functions very well. You make a really huge negate. You snowball like crazy. You play a lot of hand traps, a lot of actual real traps, and on top of that, it's one of those decks that can actually incorporate Pot of Extravagance and Pot of Disparity, which is just like, I mean, both of these cards are huge key factors into having a super consistent deck. So I want to say, a lot of people, they were like, oh yeah, but Pot of Disparity is not that good, it's just hype. And I want to say to these guys, you had clearly weren't around when Pot of Duality was dominating in Yu-Gi-Oh! For so long, and Pot of Duality was a staple. Literally, in even decks that actually special summoned a lot, bro, Card D was a staple. You could play a combo deck, go normal summon card D, tribute to draw 2, pass, and ironically that was considered a really good opening. It's not a joke, I'm seriously not joking you. So the fact that you get extra consistency without skipping your special summon is ridiculous. I mean, if your deck can afford to play Pot of Prosperity, and of course if your wallet can afford to spend for Pot of Prosperity, you should be playing Pot of Prosperity. Anyways, after that we have Endymion, which is that, I don't know, it's always like either there or it's not there, and when it is there, it's not good enough. So I don't want to say Endymion is that great, especially when a card like VFD is around. To be fair, there is a way you can actually beat VFD, since, you know, Endymion Big Daddy in the scale is not like a monster effect, it's just like a spell. So unless it gets popped like Chooch, by Chooch, it's pretty much going to resolve destroy a lot of cards. Then you have a really terrifying negate because it has spell counters, it's untargetable, indestructible by card effect, and when it does get destroyed by battle, you search your deck for any like normal spell or maybe any spell or something I forgot from your deck to your hand, which is like ridiculous. You search for like Spell Power Mastery, or I don't know, other good cards. So yeah, Endymion is interesting. I actually find this funny that Magician is a whole other deck. It's not even like, the thing is, usually we just see people categorizes the deck as pendulums, but this time no, it's actually Endymion and then Pendulum Magician, and then we have Phantom Knight, which is again not that great. I mean, no, it's good, it's a good deck, it's just, I feel like that was basically the answer, is that it's a good deck. It's not an insane deck, and that's the reason why it's, you know, just there and not like up there. And then we have Prank Kids, which again keeps falling off. It's crazy, man. People really like Zodiac way more than Prank Kids, and I keep repeating that it's basically the same concept, it's just one card combos. Then Scrap Orchest is that kind of deck that is kind of just like the new BA. They're just never gonna die. It's, as long as people have that Harp Horror, even at 1, even with like 1 Galatea, whatever, they're just always gonna play Orchest. 2 Thunder Dragon. This Chaos Thunder Dragon is not what you think. It's not like a heavy combo, it's just like Chaos Space with like some other stuff. And then the actual just pure conservative Thunder Dragon that just makes Super Bolt and passes with a lot of hand shop, so it's not like huge, but it gets you there. You know, if you play against Drytron and you end on like Super Bolt Pass, the game's kind of over, honestly. I mean, no Benten, no Nova, no Emergency, sorry, you actually can use Nova, but you can't use Fafnir, and your Zeta and Alpha are just never searching, so all of your monsters are vanilla monsters, but you can obviously still out it with Zeus, and that's the reason why, personally, even if Super Bolt comes back, I don't think it's gonna be an unfair card. But, I mean, please don't release it at 3, that's all I'm asking. Maybe 1 Super Bowl should be, like, okay-ish. And, yeah, there's always the argument of, like, yeah, but there is, Nemesis Corridor, and I know some people say, yeah, but it sucks. And it's not a bad argument, but, I mean, whatever. Ignister. Alright, this is interesting because, by the way, this is the final deck that had 2 representations, and what I want to say with Ignister is I am not sure yet whether this is the new, better version of Salamangreat, because remember that there is the Dark Infant, and when AI first met you, the Dark Infant is basically like a Salamangreat Veilinx. It searches the field spell, which is really good because Salamangreat Veilinx searches a bad field spell. Sanctuary isn't a good card, whereas Ignister AI Land is a ridiculous card. You can special summon a bunch of monsters from your hand, whereas Sanctuary is just like, oh yeah, relink, that's it. And yeah, no, Ignister is a really nice deck, but it doesn't really make that many negates. It makes like 2-3 negates, and it draws a lot of cards, and it doesn't play with a lot of cards, so that's why I really want to compare it to Salamangreat. It's that really consistent deck that doesn't really let you down too much, so very respectable deck, and I don't know if in the TCG it's going to be that good, but it's going to be like a very solid, at least rogue-ish, good rogue deck, by the way. When I say rogue, I don't mean like, yeah, your deck is shit, but I guess it can top a regional. I mean like, if it's piloted by a good player, you can actually top a YCS. And Adamantipator, for us in the TCG, shockingly enough, is actually much better than in the OCG. For some reason, I don't know, people are actually mixing it up with Prank Kids and stuff, so it's really nice. I mean, by the way, they're not playing like the full Prank Kids engine, it's just that there is Prank Kid Roxy's and another one, I guess, I forgot, the Fire, I think, the level 3. just because if time gets called, well, handshake. But yeah, Ancient Warrior, this apparently wasn't playing Tri-Brigade. Interesting. But yeah, Ancient Warrior is a cool deck. Code Talker, again, I really expected Code Talker and Ignister to be on the same level and Salamangreat to be there, but it is nowhere to be seen. And then Dragmine Invoked. Drytron is down to 1! This is ridiculous! It had such a good representation before, and that's exactly what I mean by... sometimes there might not even be a ban list, and a deck might go from like tier 1, really good tier 1, to like, whatever, let's just not play that. Everybody and their mother main decks Jewel and Logbird. So yeah, you don't really want to get cucked by Jewel and Cockbird. Not really. And then that's the 60 card Invoked Shaddoll Dragma deck. Of course, we don't have that in the TCG. Lawn Mowing Infernoid, again. Hero, okay, yeah, I mean, it's not a great deck, but it definitely doesn't suck. Kaiju Dragman, Numeron Subterror. Actually, Remote Duel top 16 was actually won by Subterror, but without the Numeron. It was just like Red Eyes Dragoon with Subterror and stuff. The guy did open pretty good though, like Hidden City and Red Eyes Fusion pretty much all day long. And then when he was going second, Dimension Shifter. So yeah, okay, yeah, sure, conversion rate of 100%. Oh, deck is tier 0, but nah, I've already covered that. Conversion rate of 100% with a sample size of 1 out of 1. It might not be the most accurate, but I mean, Subterror is just always gonna be there. And then Spiral, True Draco, Zephyra, Zodiac Tri-Brigade. Yeah, I mean. Anyways, Eldlitch. Now, what they're actually saying in this article is that this guy, and apparently he has quite a lot of experience with the deck, he actually chose to give up Cyframe Gear Gamma, and he wanted to play like some other kind of hand traps. You're actually going to see them in the side deck, so Droll and Logbird especially, and then Pancratops in the main deck. And also, I kind of find it interesting that he's playing Pot of Disparity alongside Pot of Extravagance, but I guess that does make sense, because if you draw like too many, like if you draw like one Extravagance, one Disparity, there's always like Eldlitch the Golden Lord to make sure that your surplus spells and traps aren't completely useless. And also, he's main decking Summon Limit. Now, one thing about Summon Limit is that in the TCG, it's also dominating. It's ridiculous. So if you're playing a trap deck, Summon Limit is that one card that pretty much ensures you a complete victory, and that's kind of terrifying. I mean, a Floodgate that can't really be played around unless you specifically draw MST, Cyclone, Twin, whatever, is ridiculous. It's way too scary. So Summon Limit is just, I don't know. I know that Thomas from MST.TV, he actually says maybe Summon Limit should actually get limited. I don't know how realistic that is, but I feel like it is definitely something that would make the game a bit healthier, even though it would be like, oh yeah, but you sacked me, you draw that one of Unsearchable Summon Limit. So I'm scared of that becoming something in the game, but yeah. Anyways, apart from that, everything makes sense here. Triple Scale Drain, double Dino-Miscus, double Torrential, double Strike, and double Judgment. I guess he just doesn't like opening 3-ofs of a card. He just wants that variety a lot, and I can definitely understand that. So, no, I do feel like this deck list makes quite a lot of sense. I definitely think this is pretty nice. And then, oh my god, this is the most beautiful thing ever, man. The guy who actually came up with that, bro, you're sick, man. You're freaking sick. So, main deck Extravagance. So when you go extravagance on a game 1, your opponent, his reflex is going to be like, oh yeah, your extra deck is of no importance to you, so I don't expect the Zodiac cards on game 2. And then you go, yeah, game 2, normal summon, make Zeus, 6 materials, send. Eek! Kinda scary. And maybe that's the reason why pendulums aren't even that great, even if they go first, because you can make like a bunch of Jackal Kings and they just go Zeus, negate, Zeus, negate, Zeus. Bye-bye! And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just really good engine overall. And this is all you need, really. It's just 4 cards. This is crazy, man. And it's not even like you were breaking with more like normal summons, because it respects the normal summon rule, which is 3, Tenki, and then 2 monsters, and then Barrage, which is just an extender, so I mean, why not? Imagine when 1/4 of your engine is just a special summon. This is just the perfect way to do it. I don't know if this is the perfect lineup of monsters, probably, because Thorough Blade ensures that even if you draw too many of the Zodiac cards, too many, by the way, quote-unquote, it's not gonna be bricky, and Viper always gives that nice effect, and Rat wouldn't make sense, because you're only playing like 2 monsters. Ram, it wouldn't be reviving that much. You're not playing Megaclops, and you don't really have the extra deck space, well, ironically. yeah, my extra deck space is really tight when I play Extravagance. No. But yeah, everything else again makes sense. Oh my god, this is the sick part. So I know in the TCG people are kind of getting... are kind of becoming more aware of this, but... there is a card that is ridiculously strong that actually applies a lot of pressure on your opponent. Really, really scary, and ironically not that hard to summon, even though it does require 3 monsters just like Trishula. And this guy is actually Christian wait, what's the name? Quarion Gundrax. Yeah, exactly. So... in case you didn't know, the Crystron monsters are some the Crystron Synchros, and I mean the Link too. the extra deck Crystron monsters are some of the best extra deck monsters in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Hands down, which is hilarious because their main deck cards aren't that great. I feel like every time you see those Crystron cards, it's always like a non-Crystron deck that plays it, so... I'm sorry, man, for all the Crystron players out there. It's really sad, man, but... yeah, Quarion Conjurax banishes, I think, monsters from your opponent's field and or graveyard equal to the amount of synchro materials you used for the synchro summon of the card. And also, when Christian Quarion Conjurax is destroyed by, I believe, Battle or by card effect, including your own, yes, you can actually special summon back to banish monster. So the synergy with Virtual World is ridiculous because Chooch actually allows you to pop even your own cards, which is extremely good. And also it's easy to get cards in the banish when you're playing Virtual World. There's Shen Shen that banishes, there's freaking King Long, yeah, that banishes from the graveyard. There's everything, man. This deck just has such a nice toolbox. Just look at all of those cards. It's crazy, man. This deck, I definitely do believe that it is truly the best deck in the entire game, and it's just a matter of time, honestly, before it gets crippled. I don't know how aggressive Konami is going to be on the ban list. Maybe it's just going to be VFD banned and that's it, that's all. But the thing about this is that it doesn't kill the deck. The deck is still definitely playable. It's still a tier... I don't know about tier 1, because the thing is, it still has the ability to play a lot of hand shops, play with like 2 cards, well, 2 cards and a discard, you know? And yeah, I mean, it's just always going to be that threat as long as you don't hit the main deck cards. So if you start maybe limiting Lulu, limiting Lao Lao, limiting... I mean, I don't know, Chooch, Kowloon, or something like that. Maybe if you limit too many cards, then the deck is just gonna be bricky. So that is a possibility, but for now, it's with all that access in the all those good cards in the main deck, all this beautiful extra deck toolbox at your disposition, at your disposal, sorry, you're pretty much golden. And then the side deck is, I mean, whatever. Skill Drain, again, is really cool in Virtual World because all of your effects resolve in the hand anyways, so it doesn't matter. You know, you're always getting those effects. Lao Lao is always summoning back, Lulu is always searching, etc. So really, really nice, and yeah. Zodiac now, this text is actually saying that in China, the Chinese players are actually more inclined to playing Macrocosmos than in other countries. Like in Japan, they play Macrocosmos, but only in like another build of Zodiac. So that's that, I guess. In the Amazement Zodiac, because it plays much more traps, but I guess in China, they play more hand traps. So I don't know, personally, how I would be playing the Zodiac deck, but I like how he's playing Nibiru because the other decks are just not main decking Nibiru. Of course, it's always a card that people want to side deck, except this guy, he doesn't care whatsoever, which makes sense because the Eldlitch cards, they actually lock you under zombie only, so if you get like all of your cards destroyed, if you chain and summon, your Nibiru is just not activatable. But yeah, no, for Zodiac, I mean, there's kind of no restriction. You play with 1 card, so it doesn't matter. He's not playing any... Oh yeah, he actually is playing the Zodiac combo. I like that. He is playing one way to recur back your resources, because otherwise you kind of just run out of gas kind of quickly. He's playing that one of Pankratops because it's searchable with Asa, Double Zeus again with the Beedrill, and yeah, I mean, the extra deck at this point is just the exact same every single time. The only flex spots are if you want to play Cross-Out Designator, if you want to play like more traps, Macrocosmos, etc. It's actually funny how he's playing Imperial Order with 13 spells. But I guess Imperial Order just has such a huge impact, especially when you go first, or even if you can break your opponent's board and then set up like Imperial Order with like other real traps, like Macrocosmos, Imperial Order with like Zeus or Drancia, then your opponent has like no follow-up. It's pretty much game over. So this deck is really good going first and second, especially going second because you have that Zeus access, but going first it's still like kind of respectable because, again, 1 card gets you there. Anyways, now this is the really cool part in this breakdown. So Brandish, or Sky Striker, is back to being played with Of course, the huge, ridiculous amount of hand traps. So 2, 5, 8, 9, 11. No Imperm though, so I guess it's not too bad. But he's playing other blowouts. So Mystic Mine with Terraforming and Set Rotation, I think. Is he playing Set Rotation? I'm blind, so I don't know. I don't actually think he is, except if I can't see it. Yeah, I don't think he's playing Set Rotation. Not even in the side deck. Interesting, but I mean, you don't really need it too much. He's playing Metaverse though, so I guess there's that. Metaverse is actually even better than Terraforming, because a Mystic Mine on your opponent's turn is like impossible to play around, but a Mystic Mine on your own turn is a different story. And then this is the crazy part. So one Imperial or Iron Wall and one there can only be one. Imperial Iron Wall is good against Eldlitch, it's good against Virtual World, it's not good against Drytron though. I mean, no, yeah, it's not great. Like, it prevents Ava, but that's kind of it. And it's also not good, like, at all against Zodiac. All it really does is prevent Macrocosmos. So, in case you were wondering, when there is Macrocosmos and Imperial Iron Wall on the field, the order or, like, priority doesn't matter at all, because Imperial Iron Wall will always defeat Macrocosmos and Darklaw. Yes, exactly, and Darklaw, because Imperial Iron Wall says cards cannot be banished, whereas, like, Macrocosmos and, like, Darklaw, they say cards, instead of being sent to the graveyard, are banished instead. So, Imperial Iron Wall just has, like a much higher weight, and because of that, it always beats the other cards, in case you're wondering. So yeah, and just the main deck is interesting. 1 Rose and 2 Engage! Imagine if we had that. This is crazy. And another thing, triple Desires with 2 Prosperity and 1 Avarice? Wow, that's nuts, man. And by the way, they actually had 2 multi-roll in the OCG with 2 Engage. Bruh, I would play the deck myself. This is crazy. And it's actually nuts because in the TCG, I would expect a lot of people to play Pot of Prosperity, because, you know, there is no Engage, so there's no, like, cog blocking with, oh, you can't draw. But in the OCG, you're kind of taking a risk, because if you go for Pot of Prosperity, you're not allowed to, well, I mean, you're allowed to use Engage, but not in the right way. You know, it's not that great. And yeah, I mean, everything else is kind of a lot of one-ofs. 1 Shark Cannon, 1 Area 0, 1 of each traps. Man, this guy really... And 1 Ghost Bell. The one thing I don't like, though, is the Effect Veiler. I just don't think it's a good hand trap at all. I think even DD Crow is better, and Skullmeister, maybe a 3 of, Ghost Bell a 2 of. So I would replace these 2 hand traps for 1 extra Ghost Bell, 1 extra Skullmeister. And apart from that, I like the spell lineup. I like the fact that he's playing Floodgates too. There can only be 1. I feel like it's way too good not to be played at 3, but to be fair, Virtual World is ridiculous at beating There Can Only Be 1. Eldritch, yeah, I mean, they have the hand effect of Eldritch the Golden Lord, so it doesn't really do that much, honestly. And I don't know what the matchup Sky Striker against Eldritch is. I think if he played more Shark Cannons, it would have been a free matchup, because you just make them run out of Eldritch the Golden Lords and the game's over. And this deck actually grinds ridiculously well against back row decks, so I don't know, honestly, if crippled Brandish with 2 Engage is better than, I guess, quote-unquote, full power Brandish, but with 0 Engage and 1 multi-roll. Yeah, okay, never mind, the way I just put it doesn't really look too convincing. I think this OCG build of Brandish is just stronger, even if they only have 1 Kagari, so yeah. And also 2 Widow Anchor, yo, forget it, man. Let's just all go to China and play freaking Sky Striker. Oh, man. And hand traps 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. Bro! Yo! 3, wait, hold on, 6, 9, wait, 12 hand traps. No, wait, hold on, 5, 8, yeah, 11 hand traps, and then siding 4, 6, 8. You can play up to 19 hand traps in your 40-card deck with Pancratops, Cyclone, Duster, Dimensional Barrier. Wow. Wow, what a fair back and forth healthy deck and environment. Yo, Yu-Gi-Oh is such a back and forth, and I don't know, man. There's nothing bad to say about this game, man. Yo, remember back in the old days where hand traps were actual garbage, and like, I don't know, outside of like Max C, and like Regeki was like broken. Now, forget it. Regeki in the gate. Hand traps, oh, I didn't draw a card by the Graveyard 3 Tactical Talents and pass. Yeah, it's that sad. Anyways, in conclusion, this is actually funny because some people were actually experimenting with the Amazement engine. Yes, which isn't a really good engine because you're playing 2 to 3 of the monster and then 2 to 3 of the Horror House. And in case you've actually read the Horror House, it's actual trash. It's actually worse than Book of Moon because you can only target your opponent's monster for once, so it's kind of like already Canada status and not even Book of Moon status, because Book of Moon allows you to book your own monsters, which is relevant because it protects you from effect negation, and also on top of that, it's once per turn, which is also shit, and on top of that, this guy doesn't fetch you any instant advantage. It's kind of like, it becomes really good in the long term, but it doesn't really do much the turn you summon it. Like, it gets you a trap, but you can't use it because it's during your opponent's turn, so unless you have, like, Temple of the Kings, you're not really doing too much. This is definitely a brick, and this is just, I don't know, man, Maybe there's something I'm not seeing, but the thing is, they're only really playing that, so yeah, I mean, and also, I guess this card destroys a bunch of cards your opponent controls by banishing the Amazement Traps from your graveyard, but again, this is just a huge setup, just to play not the best cards, honestly. I mean, especially a Book of Moon kind of card isn't that great, if people aren't playing Crackdown, then people definitely won't play like a Canada and like generic decks, so I can't see this making any sense, and this is even worse, so I don't really like this too much. And then yeah, Eldritch, Virtual World, Zodiac, and Sky Striker are the top dogs around there. So that's all I had to say, guys, for this beautiful OCG metagame breakdown. If you guys have any comments, feedback, suggestions, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. That's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.